Good morning, CLC. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this service. Thank you for being a part of our and each other's lives. I invite you now to just take a nice, deep breath. Relax your body in this moment. Anything you have going on, just let it go for now. Take another nice, deep, cleansing breath. And as you release the breath, release all stress and tension, all doubts and worries. Just let it ooze out of you. Allow your body in this moment to just relax. And allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own, for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me. Sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. In visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass, In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Welcome again, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope you are enjoying this day and this week and this month and this year. We have...
Good morning. How are you? We're talking about manifestation this month and consciousness is one of those words that needs explaining, so it needs deconstructing sometimes because it seems abstract. It's also a long word, difficult to spell. Think of it as mood. Think of it for now as mood. You came in this room today, there's a mood in it. You feel the mood in here? I got here when there were just, bless you, I got here when there were just 4 or 5 people already here, and there was already a mood established, and I felt like I had walked into a warm and welcoming place. It's because I knew those people, and I've been here a lot, you know. And then I turn around, Mel T says to me, turn around, there's people here. So I'm sitting there all kind of in my process, you know, and I turn around and you're here. And the mood expands. And a wonderful thing it is, well, that's consciousness. That's group consciousness. Just that right there. And I thought I would also, for the benefit, because we've got some new and newish folks with us today, for the benefit of you, I thought I might explain what this thing is. Isn't that lovely? It's called a circle in V. There used to be a vitamin shop at the mall that had a similar, anyway, it represents what's called the descent of spirit into form. And it was devised by this man, Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of this teaching, mostly dated to 1927, so we're coming up on 100 years of it here soon. And in the back of his Science of Mind textbook, he has 5 or 6 variations of this, explaining how when you make a choice here, an active consciousness, an active conscious intention, it moves through a subjective field depicted by the 2 perpendicular parallel lines and results in an outcome down here at the point of the V. And this is what many of us would call manifestation. So we look here and we say, well, I'd like to manifest something, or I have manifest something, and here it is. And how did it get here? And that's why you have the whole diagram to work through. Consciousness is always manifesting as something. We're always manifesting something. We're not here to learn how to manifest. We've been manifesting the whole time. We're here learning how to navigate the process of manifestation. The whole time you've been in life, you've been inside the body that you wear. So it's not about learning how to have a body. It's about learning how to navigate the body, what the body likes to eat, what's good for the body, how much exercise, how much sleep, and so on. A lot of things are furnished. A lot of systems in life are furnished, and we're learning how to navigate the interplay of these different systems. Spiritual teaching is a lot simpler than it's been given to us to be. It's not about, as you heard in that song, that's an excellent song for today. It's an excellent song for any day, but it's an excellent song lyrically for today. There is no spot where God is not. There is no place that God forgot. I love that. So that's not the problem. You can sing that chorus over and over again. That's not the problem. So we can set that aside. We can remind ourselves of it, but we can set it aside as a concern. There is no spot that God is not. So why is stuff not showing up the way we want it to show up? Then the problem must reside with us. Only maybe if we thought of it as something other than a problem, it would be easier to deal with. So how about we think of it as information? It's about information that we interpret along certain lines as this information comes in, and we decide how we're going to feel about it, and then what we're going to think about it, and then how we're going to put thought and feeling together and believe in it. So just for one really basic example, I got up this morning, it was a sunny morning, and then it rained. Then it started to rain, and it rained kind of hard. And I noticed I had to shift a little. It's raining. You just do this kind of thing with your feet, you know. I like rain. My head said, what are all our heads saying right now? We need the rain. Because we're in a what? Yeah. So we need the rain. And my head said we need the rain. And then I thought, I have to drive in the rain. And anymore since the pandemic, I don't drive a whole lot. Not nearly as much as I used to, so I have to drive. Oh, you know. But when I was a little kid, I loved the rain, and I like rainy days and songs about rainy days. So all of these moods came up. And then you know what happened? It stopped raining. And the sun came out. And now it was muggy. In many parts of the world, they call that humid. Here it's muggy. And so different kind of mood. And a different mood because it's Sunday and I'm getting to be with you and doing this. And a different mood because it's morning and not afternoon and night. And you get the picture. And all of these different things affect us. As you walk through your day, all of these different stimuli impact consciousness in some way. And not just in present time at all. But every association that we have with things going back to the crib comes up. And some would say beyond that, past that, in past lives. I don't know. But the crib I know. And so from there, every time it's rained or been sunny or been a Sunday or a morning or a holiday or what have you, it's had all of these associations with it. And this is what I get to experience reality through. Somebody was asking in class the other night the question, did I think, like I should know, but it's nice, people asking this kind of thing. Somebody said, does everybody have the same degree of light within them across the planet? I instantly said yes. That's not the problem. The problem is everybody has a different degree of perception of their own light and make decisions based on that. So as discussed last week, a lot of this is about spiritual psychology. Who do I think I am, and what are the choices that I'm making based on that? And what are the allowances that I'm making for the shortcomings that I feel I have that were they to be discovered would put me at a disadvantage, blah, blah, blah. And so our lives become about negotiation and compromise and constant checking of who we are and how we are and what we're saying. And out of that, we manifest in life kind of a mixed bag of stuff and wonder why. And it's really pretty straightforward. There is a law, a spiritual law, one law. In my book, One Law, as discussed last week, there's not a law of this and a law of that and 100 laws you need to remember. There's one law, one spiritual law when you get right down to it. Its name is I am. If you need to define it further than that, it's I am becoming. I am becoming. Law is moving consciousness from one level of expression of itself to another. Law is moving consciousness from one level of expression of itself to another. This is what it's doing. So when I am manifesting chaos in my experience, it must mean that the information that I'm giving that law, surrounded with emotional energy, is itself chaotic. I'm giving it fits and starts. Go ahead, no, wait. now, no. Now, and so it's like, what? This is what the law turns around as if it were a person, and it says, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? Pick it up, put it down, give it back, move it here, right? Because this is what we do. Say, I know I could do great things. Oh, wait, I just remembered I can't. Door opens, door shuts. Some have pictured it, I don't know who it was did this in a book, they pictured it as like a warehouse. Like you make an order to a company for a product, and they go and fish it off the shelf in the warehouse, and they box it up and they put it on a truck and so on, and they get it to you. And it's like there's this warehouse filled with all of these things, half wrapped, half packed, because somebody said, I would like to create in my life, wait, I don't know what to do with that, or I'm not good enough for that, or I'm not ready for that, or something, and it gets put back on the shelf. Because we're giving spiritual law miscellaneous information. It must by necessity deliver miscellaneous results. So this is where we want to look, is what is the information that I'm giving life? Now, that brings us to this book called The Laws of Manifestation by David Spangler, which I highly recommend. And he says, so I have a friend. And he says, my friend likes to manifest the old-fashioned way. And the old-fashioned way is visualization and affirmations, and journaling, and making lists, and making vision boards, and all of this, which is perfectly fine. He says, how I prefer to manifest, which is why he wrote the book, is by believing that I live in the midst of the flow of life that anticipates and meets my every need, without the requirement that I specify exactly what it is I'm getting every minute. Because I live in trust. Now there will be times when you go in the restaurant and they hand you a menu. Keep coming back to this because it's, you know, the form of choice. When you say the word choice, it's the choice most people think of as if off a menu. You go in a restaurant, they hand you a menu, they say, which of these items would you like? And you can have as many of them as you want, and you can stay here eating all of them until we close. But you probably won't do that. You'll probably order a certain, you know, set number of things and like go on with that. But you're going to need to choose. Or at least you're going to need to say, I don't know, bring me the chef's surprise. Bring me whatever's good today. And they're like, oh God, a difficult customer. Better leave a tip. But they'll bring you something. And when they bring you something, everything they didn't bring you remains unchosen. Every time we consciously choose, we're limiting the limitless in a necessary way and not a permanent way. But we're selecting some particular reality in order to experience it, and everything else remains kind of in the background. That's why we're here. To not just do that with stuff by a long shot, but to do that in the management of consciousness, of love and peace, what Danielle was speaking about, kindness and compassion. It's like I choose that and that and that, and I could choose resentment and I could choose regret and I could choose antagonism, but I'm going to leave them on the shelf as unhealed aspects of myself to be dealt with later when I complete this process of choice that I'm going through right now, in this treatment that I'm giving myself right now to know certain good for myself. These are the things that I'm going to choose, and this is what we're here to do. We specify, but we go back to Spangler's words, and we trust. And we trust. So we're not having to grab at stuff and hold on to it, fixate on it, and become all overwhelmed by it. It's just, I believe that I live. You could say this to yourself. I believe that I live in a safe and loving universe that anticipates and meets my every need. Well, what do you do when it doesn't? I'm not getting what I need right now. You say to yourself, it hasn't met it yet. It's on its way. How about this? How about every other godling on the face of the planet, because we're often really concerned with what they're up to, the other people? Because we've got it handled, but those other people, man, I don't know. So how about if every other person on the face of the planet is either living as a godling of highly evolved, loving consciousness, or is about to? Or is about to. Instead of saying everybody's living as in a higher evolved state of loving consciousness, unless they're miserable, awful people who will never do that, right? Everybody's either there or they're about to be there. My good is either here or it's about to be here. You order something online and they let you track it. Well, it's left Des Moines. Now it's on the highway, and now it's here, and now it's here, and now it's footsteps away from your house. And now, whoa, there's a picture of your front door with that package, and they just left it. And so all you got to do is go out to the front to get it, you know? The life we ordered is in the process of arriving. The life we previously ordered has already arrived and taken up residence. Sometimes we don't notice that. Sometimes we're like, I'm in this mood and I don't know where it came from. Well, it's because of certain choices that we made in consciousness without being aware that we were doing that. We make up little rules for ourselves, you see. We'll say, if this happens, I'm going to feel that way about it. Just watch me. It's almost funny sometimes, except it's too personal really to be funny, because sometimes we say, if this happens, I'm going to hurt myself over it. I'm going to emotionally wound myself. If you insult me, I'm going to take it on. You'll walk away fine. I'll be damaged by it. We make these rules as though we had to, as though it somehow compensates or gets even, you know? So sometimes we walk around in the spirit of woundedness because we made up a rule that if certain things rolled out a certain way, that's what it would be appropriate for us to feel, and we're still feeling it, and we don't even remember where it came from. I was speaking about mood. Okay, this is gloom. This is gloom. Have you ever had a gloomy mood that seemed perpetual, that was not situational, that was not related to a certain set of experiences that could immediately be addressed? If there's a problem, you attend to it, but now there's just this kind of dark clouds of gloom hanging over our head. Where did that come from? Previous, let's call them choices made, but are they choices if we don't know we have a choice? Therein lies the rub. Which is why we treat or pray to know that we are at choice, and we treat or pray to know that all beings everywhere know they are at choice. Why? Because they are. We're not making them at choice. We're not compelling them to be at choice. We're not inventing whole new rules for everything. Everybody is at choice, and they have a right to know that. And somebody asked the other night, they're giving me a lot of material for you, this other group, but somebody asked the other night, they said, well, are animals at choice? What an excellent question. Yeah, Within the field of consciousness of the animal species, they are at choice. Can you describe it further? No. Only by observation. And then I'm observing them through a human-centric window, right? If I'm trying to figure out how dogs are the way dogs are, it's me as a human interpreting the dog. I could be all wrong. I'm looking at the dog in relationship to me and what I would do if I were a dog, and you know the whole thing, right? So, but yeah, and the trees too, and the insects, and everything that moves, everything that lives, and for all we know, inanimate objects too, like the chair you're sitting in. May be happy about that you're sitting in. May wish you'd move. Don't spill that water. You know, we don't know. But we do know this. We know that we have consciousness. We know that we as humans have consciousness, and we're using it all the time. So we want to use it along constructive lines for a definite purpose to create a particular outcome. And we do that through the management of consciousness, understanding what we think and how we feel, and leaving aside for the moment what anybody else thinks about our creative process. Now, I know that's tough to do, especially if you're surrounded by people, like you have, I don't know, a family, you know, co-workers. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, well, given the same set of circumstances all of us have been furnished, why are you feeling this way? You should be more or less cheerful than all the rest of us. There is a consensus that all of us should feel. That's not consciousness, that's a club. That's a club, you see? When people get together and they decide, let's all hate oak trees. Or let's all worship oak trees. Go beyond love them. Let's worship, actually, that's been done. Still being done some places. But let's worship oak trees. That doesn't make the oak tree any different than it is. You see, it's a club of consciousness. People get together and they agree to have a certain collective experience of things, ranging all the way from outrage on one extreme to absolute adoration on the other. But within that collective consciousness is each individual making a choice about how do I really feel about this. That's an authentic choice when it's not informed by what everybody else thinks, at least not as much as it was. How do I really feel? My God, this is a question we do not ask ourselves much. We have not been taught, hang on a second, extract the glasses. We have not been taught to ask ourselves this by the culture. When you were in second grade and they started putting arithmetic on the board, did they ask you how you felt about that? Do you like fractions? No, it was, look, it's objective reality. You need to learn this stuff. We were educated, meaning no disrespect to the educational system or anybody engaged in it. By the way, there are back-to-school affirmations in that weekly email. You can click on a document, and they're kind of cool. They're for parents and students and teachers, faculty. Meaning no disrespect to the educational system, it has been biased toward objectivity. There's a certain way things are, and you need to learn what it is. And after you learn arithmetic, then you'll learn algebra, and then you'll learn trigonometry. And, you know, and everything gets more complex based on what you, bless you, based on what you have before that, and science the same way. And so we think, okay, I got to get it all figured out. We think when we get to a certain point, we do have it all figured out, except nobody's taught us about feeling and how we feel about it. And that's what's creative in our lives, more so than thought. I know you've heard thought is creative and positive thinking, all the rest of this, and that's not untrue, but it's really incomplete because it's really feeling wrapped around the thought that causes creation to occur with nuance, with flavor and color and texture and all the different ways that we want it to show up. So we engage in the feeling nature. We realize that we're entitled to feel how we feel personally without collective consensus around that. I might enjoy a thing or not enjoy a thing, and that's up to me, and it's my place to learn from that. It's not anybody else's place to teach me that. It's my place to learn from that. And I learned that so much is subjective. In fact, let me warn you, when you start pulling the thread called subjectivity, lots of stuff starts turning up subjective. So much so, you could pretty much say darn near all of it is subjective. That is to say, is feeling based and has a value to the self based on feeling. What is not subjective is one thing called the I am. It stands alone as the framing reference for absolutely everything within itself. It is God or Spirit, the one life that is. But how it is, see, once we say it's subjective, it's like, oh, okay, now I got to figure it out. No. It's a great big mystery. Why? Because it's infinite. Good luck figuring out the infinite. You can figure out some of it, but you'll never figure out all of it, or it wouldn't be what? Infinite. Right? So this one life is the one thing that absolutely positively is, but every quality or condition that's placed on it is placed on it by some individual consciousness that's having some experience of it. And so you ask one person what they feel about the great I am, and they'll say one thing, and another person will say something else. And if you find 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 that agree, you put them together and they call that religion. And then 1 or 2 or 3 or 20 of them stand back from it and say, I don't know, I feel a little differently about it now than I did when I threw in with you people and created this religion. And so they go off and start another religion. Or they say, bah, humbug the religion, and they go off and they start a spirituality. They start having a spiritual practice that's unrelated to some kind of collective religion. You see how all of this works? So we agree to hang out together. It's one of the things I love about Creative Life Spiritual Center is nobody has to be here. Nobody gets rousted out in the morning. We actually had a guy here one time. He ran into some people when we had 2 services back in the day, which one day we'll have again. This pre-pandemic. There's this group of people, group of friends who attended the 9:30 service, and a couple of them took off one Sunday. Like 3 of them took off one Sunday, and 2 of them were eating in a restaurant at service time, and the 3rd one came by and told them he was our attendance officer, and he was going to report them. That hilarious? Yeah. Completely would have ruined their breakfast if they hadn't, known who he was. What a character. But nobody has to do this. Nobody has to do any one particular thing in order to stimulate the quality of feeling that you wish to have about your life. Therefore, it's optional. Therefore, it's free. Therefore, it's fun. Therefore, it's healthy. Therefore, it's in alignment with this, which says, go be you. Go forth and multiply. Go forth and prosper. Go be you. The subjectivity of life. Okay, one last thing on that. I read this thing this week. You may know this, but I did not know this. That when Vincent Van Gogh painted the Starry Night, and how I happened to read this was I was reading an article about Don McLean and McLean and his song, The Starry Night, which is a beautiful song, and it's based on his interpretation of the painting by Van Gogh. What I did not know, can you picture it? It looks like it's big yellow swirly. If you haven't seen it, it's big yellow swirly stars on a blue background, and there's a little village sitting there, and there's lights in the windows of the houses in the little village. What I did not know was that he painted that picture from inside the cell of what at the time they called a lunatic asylum, where he had checked himself in because he was really, really hurting. And they got him paints and a canvas and an easel, and he painted this picture through the bars. You don't see the bars on the windows. He painted this picture, and he could not see the village from his window, so he imagined it, placed a village there on the hillside to kind of set off the stars. Now, over the centuries, or a couple of centuries, since that painting has been made, 1889, century and a half, How many people have looked at that and thought, oh, beautiful night. How happy this man must have been. How transported he must have been by this beautiful night. Instead, he had to draw what he felt, had to paint what he felt, had to create. So many others in so many different fields have done this. Under duress, in great pain, in great struggle, have created great beauty. And you and I stand before. Then we hear the backstory. Maybe I've ruined that painting for you, but don't let me. Don't let me. Because that painting is reborn every time you see it. Every time you see it. It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new song the next time you hear it and how you associate it. And you can change the association. You can play with it. You can play the song that used to make you sad. You can play with that. You can ask it, what was I doing when I heard this, and how did it make me feel? And you can change that association. And if holidays make you sad, or rainy days make you sad, or the time change makes you sad, or anything that throws you that seems to be on automatic pilot that you have no control over, at some point it's got an anchor in the soul, and you can address that. And how you address that is you go to Spirit and you say, show me more of who I am. Teach me who I am, so that I may live in a context of life where I feel safe and loved, and know my needs are easily and naturally being met, and so that if they do not appear to be today by noon, they're on their way to being. And I will trust. And I will trust, and I will move through my life in joyous expectancy. Let's know together, one life, one power, one presence. We may think of it as the great I am that I am, unconditioned, absolute, everlasting, eternal, infinite. And not only great big like that, but right here where I am, as I am, where each person is, where they are, who are hearing these words, that one is right there, just being what it is, having an experience of unconditional love of us, yet that unconditional love is so absolutely subjective in how it rolls out. It really turns up as absolute permission to feel everything. I choose to think of myself as a representative of this one, as its agent of healing in this world at this time by means of me. I choose to think of myself as ready, willing, and able to manifest whatever it is that meets the case for me. Maybe that's a job. Maybe that's a relationship. Maybe that's a journey I want to take someplace. Maybe it's a release of something, a burden I've been carrying for too long. A fear, a phobia, a neurosis. A release of the past. Maybe it's some great artistic expression. There's a song that's never been written that won't leave me alone. I must sing it. Maybe it's a context in which to hold the life I'm already having just as it is. Whatever it is. I now claim, I now affirm, and I now trust that it is manifesting itself, appearing in solid form, moving from a level of being unseen, unperceived, into the seen, the solid, the tangible, the real, where it takes up residence in my life and yet remains subject always to my adjustment of it by further choice. For this knowing and its manifestation in form, everywhere I turn, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
So it is. No, you're fine, you're fine. All right, everybody. Thank you, Jesse. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
We are coming to giving time, but before we do that, I would like to just say a couple of things. One, the Laws of Manifestation by David Spangler. We do have copies of that in the bookstore. So if you are here and would like to purchase that from us, you can definitely do that. And also I want to ask, is there anyone here for the first time today? Please raise your hand. Also, if you have not gotten a new, just a visitor packet, because we do have visitor packets for people who have not received one. So thank you for that. If you're online for the first time, we would also like you to let us know. You can email us at info@creativelife.org. You can always message us on any one of the platforms, as well as send us something in chat right now. That's perfectly fine, so we can say hi. We would love to hear from you. And as our little ushers have made their way to the back, thank you guys for your service. We appreciate you. I would like to thank each and every one of you again for being here, for giving of your time, for giving of your energy, for giving of your love, for any and all monetary donations that you give this center. Everything you give us, no matter how big or how small, is greatly appreciated. It helps us to continue to do the work that we're doing. And so with that, I invite you now to say with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is. And
if you don't know that much about Vincent Van Gogh, I commend you to him. Look into him. And now I'm going to be an ultimate geek and tell you that there is a really amazing Doctor Who episode about Vincent Van Gogh. Okay? For whatever reason, I think the doctor sees something in one of his paintings, so they go back and meet Vincent Van Gogh. And what is so amazing about that episode is you can see how much pain Vincent Van Gogh is in. The actor who plays Vincent Van Gogh does an amazing job. And so what the doctor does is he brings him forward in time and has him listen to a museum director talk about Vincent Van Gogh. And you get to watch that actor have that experience as Vincent Van Gogh. It's amazing. So please look. I don't remember the episode, but if you Google Doctor Who, if you Google Doctor Who plus Vincent Van Gogh, it'll come up because it was only one. And he also, that painting technique from that painting was mathematically impossible at the time. That's just really cool about that particular painting. So, all right. So now I'm going to turn you loose into this muggy afternoon. And in the knowing of that, I would encourage you to take one nice deep breath. Just breathe in all of the amazing information that you have been gifted today. All of it. Breathe it all the way down. And as you release the breath, relax and let go of anything that no longer serves you. And know that there is one power, one presence, one life, one love. And we are living that life. That presence works its way into this material world through us. We are the channels for that presence. We are the channels for that love. We are channels for all of the amazing things that happen in this world. That is through us. We are the representations of that one. And so if you are awaiting something, And it is harvest time, so we are starting to harvest the things that we have been planting and nurturing. If you are waiting for something, let me remind you of one amazing fact. Whatever it is that you are waiting for already exists in the mind of God. It is merely awaiting the channel into form. It already exists in the mind of God. So I am knowing that the channels are open, the channels are flowing, that your good is manifesting through each and every amazing channel in your life, including you yourself. And it is running to you, just like joy in the city streets. As soon as it heard your name, it started running for you. And I know this with all of the gratitude in my being. I am grateful for this place. I am grateful for this teaching. I am grateful for these ministers. I am grateful for these practitioners. I am grateful for these musicians. I am grateful for each and every one of you. And I am grateful for the feeling of being grateful, because it's an amazing feeling. And so I know that your good is already on its way, even as we speak these words. And so it is.
So it is.
Say it with me now. Something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my
I
body.
feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose
I
it.
trust it.
I trust
I
it.
use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it. And so it is.